Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Levittown Public Library Agoscu with Kimberly Sabat on Monday, March 7th, 2022 at 11 a.m. Take it away, Kimberly.
Thank you again. Wonderful to see everybody back. Today, we're going to be using a couple of things, but don't get all bent out of shape. Very simple stuff. Some of you are new. So the devices we're going to be used are stuff that you can find around the house. So I want you guys to grab a belt today, definitely. This is a belt that you're going to find on your own pants. Don't use any of those PT straps. They're made out of rubber and they don't have enough resistance for what we're going to use it for. So grab an actual leather belt. I'm going to use that if you don't have that, or maybe one of these yoga straps like I have. Other thing we're going to use is a pillow or a block. Some of you have those yoga blocks. I got all different colors. You may have that too. If you are taking a pillow off of your bed, I want you to fold it in half, sometimes in threes, because we want to have a lot of resistance. So pillow and a strap today. Other thing we're going to use is our static back block or a chair or an ottoman or sometimes a really low bed. But the beds today are so darn tall, they're way too high. So you want something that's going to be about the length of your femur. It's about 24 to 26 inches. This is for our floor work where we're going to do this with the static back position. And you want to trap your legs at 90 degrees for that. So we're going to start out with a routine device to get your pelvis back in alignment. And we're going to do it via stimulating the body. That's what all Agoscu is really corrective exercise. So you have to listen to your body. If you're new to this and something doesn't feel right or it hurts, that's your body's way of saying this isn't for me just yet. So don't do that move if your body gives you that information. And I'll give you as many modifications as I can. We're going to start out laying on the back and we're going to get the feet onto the wall. I'll show you different angles of this so you can understand what we're doing. You can do this on a chair or on a bed if you can't get to the floor, but it is best done on the floor. So if you can't get to the floor with me today, maybe just sit in a chair for a little while, sit upright, stay nice and square. So the position I want you guys to get in is this 90-degree position where you're laying on the floor and your hips and your knees are at 90 degrees. When I open my legs, make sure my heels are at the same height as my knees. This is what I'm going for. So try to trap your body at 90 degrees best you can. I'm going to turn the other direction so you can see the movement I'm going to give you. We're doing adduction, abduction. And that's just a, well, medical term. It is a medical term. The direction that we're taking the hip joints through. I'm going to keep my feet on the wall or on the door or on a bookcase, whatever it is that you've got. And we're going to drop the legs open and close, touch the knees. Now, if you don't have a wall, you can definitely do this laying on the floor with your feet on the floor. You just won't be at such an angle bent at the hips, and that's okay. You can do that. If you wanted to and you're sitting in a chair, you can certainly get this done sitting in a chair. You could just put your feet up on something in front of you, or even try leaving the feet on the floor. You're not going to get as much range of motion, but it's definitely going to be better than doing nothing. So while I'm doing this move, I'm paying attention to keeping my feet parallel. You might have noticed that your feet start to evert, so they kind of turn out like a duck. Call that duck-footed, layman's terms. You want to keep your feet parallel. So as you go through this motion, we're driving from the hips, and we're keeping the feet parallel. So you'll notice I'm actually dropping my legs out and I come to the outside edges of both of my feet. I'm not just leaving my heels on the wall. If anything, as parts of my feet leave the wall, the parts that stay touching the wall is my heel and the very outside edge, almost my pinky toe. So I'm not pivoting on my heels when I do this move. I'm going to stay here for about another minute doing this. My feet are hip distance. Even if they're narrower than hip distance, that's okay. 2 inches, 3 inches apart, perfectly fine. This is almost like doing a frog. A lot of you know that move. We do the frog. Sometimes we do it on the wall. Most of the time we're doing it on the floor. So we're taking the legs into frog and then the knees in together to touch. Adduction, abduction. I'm also teaching you guys some words while we're here. When you get abducted, you're taken away, right? So abduction is when we take the legs away from the midline. Abduction. So adduction, ADD, We're coming closer, coming in, we're adding towards the midline. All of these movements are usually have references to our midline. So when you hear external rotation, the reference point is the midline, the middle of our body, our spine area. A few more of these, everybody, then we're going to get a little bit tougher. While we finish out the rest of these, I want you to focus on the placement of your pelvis. Pelvis. Pelvis is pretty neutral, pretty flat. The movement we're getting is from the hip. So our femurs are going through some movement here via the hip, but your pelvis is staying in one spot. So for our next move, I'd like the pelvis to stay in that same spot. I don't want you to twist the body in order to get this move done. So we're going to take it into the next move now, everybody. This one is called assisted hip lift. Those of you know we do the regular hip lift. It's way harder, but we're doing assisted now. I'm going to cross my left ankle to my right knee, and I'm going to pay attention to my pelvis, leave it in place. I'm only moving from the hip. And this is very difficult for some of you who are tight and have muscles that are compensating. You might notice your whole body just twisted just to get your ankle on your knee. If that happened to you, it's not the worst thing, but you can pull yourself a little bit further away from the wall if you're in such a contorted fashion that this no longer looks anywhere close to the form I'm asking you to do, if that makes sense. So left ankle to our right knee, leg stays on the wall, the right foot's on the wall. I'm going to use my hip muscles to draw my right knee towards the wall as well. So you'll feel that, oh, something just turned on, but I'm not actually moving my body. It's just an ongoing sensation in this isometric exercise, which means something's going on, but we're not really going through a movement. Shoulders are relaxed. We're going to hang out here for a minute. Now, can you do this on the floor with your feet on the floor and not with your foot on the wall? Absolutely. Can you get this done sitting in a chair? Absolutely. So this is basically the position I'm in, is sitting in a chair. I just have my ankle crossed over my knee. So you can do this sitting in a chair. But you could feel the work that's taking place should be on the outside of your hip. We're asking the glute, the butt, all these external rotator muscles out here to externally rotate your left hip. We're drawing the hip out, away, towards the wall. Stay here for 10 more seconds. Yes, this is an active move. You should feel a lot of work here. And we're going to switch sides. Again, when you put your feet back on the wall, you might notice, my pelvis is nice and neutral. Try to keep it there when you put the ankle to your knee. Ankle to knee. Pelvis stays in the same spot. Now I'm drawing my right knee towards the wall. Again, no hands, mom, no hands. We're using the hip muscles. So if you're doing this sitting in a chair and you have your ankle crossed over, you'd be drawing your knee towards the floor. We're still doing the same motion. It's just in a different position. Gravity's pulling in a different way. So depending on which direction gravity is pulling, not like it changes while we do Egoscue, but that determines what joints are getting the load, therefore what muscles we have to ask to do the work. We're going to utilize this same form in the next move. We're going to do hip crossover stretch next. Okay, come on out of it. I'm going to take it completely to the floor. Again, if you can't come to the floor with me, you can get this move done sitting in a chair. So same idea, we're going to cross the ankle to the knee. And if you're sitting in a chair, you're just going to twist your upper body in the direction of your bent leg. Everybody who's coming to the floor with me, we're doing hip crossover stretch. So I'm going to take you to the hook lying position. Knees are bent, hips are bent, feet are on the floor, nice and flat. Bring the arms out to a T and go palms face down if you can. I'm going to cross my left ankle to my right knee. Now I'm going to twist through my lower back. My legs are going to fall towards the floor on my right side. You may or may not be able to hit the floor, but what's going to determine that is if you keep your shoulders on the floor or not. I want you to keep your shoulders on the floor. And we're doing that for a reason. What we're trying to do in this move is retrain the right muscles how to do the jobs that they were designed for. So if you start cheating by lifting your shoulder off of the floor just to get your legs to hit the floor, then we're not going to get those same muscles to work. Just like we did in the last exercise, we're utilizing the same hip muscles to draw the knee away from us, except this time it's drawing downwards towards where our feet are because we're not on the wall anymore. So we're taking external rotation through our hip. And the best place that we're looking for, the most perfect place in a perfect world, is pointing the knee directly up towards the ceiling. We don't want to go further than that because we still want to keep the foot flat on the floor as it hits. This one's our hip crossover stretch. Good, come on out. We're going to go to the other side and I'm going to show you another angle of hip crossover stretch. So I'm doing my right ankle to my left knee. I'm going to twist through my lower back and let my legs fall to the left this time. Notice I didn't slide my legs across the floor. I moved slowly enough in order to keep the form. Keeping the form, that's important. Ankle stays connected to your knee. Don't let that slide. And some of you might be stuck here. You might be so tight, your legs are just kind of hanging out in space. You feel a stretch there. Oh, I'm not going to go any further. That's cool. Stay wherever you got to stay. There's another, I want to say foundational principle, but that's not quite it. We always want to take what the body can give, and we don't go anymore. You take what the body can give. However you're showing up, we're doing what your body can do that day. And when it starts to change, it'll change on its own. We have to respect the wisdom of the body. That's what makes this protocol different than a lot of other protocols. We don't pretend to know everything about the body because we certainly don't. Fantastic. Come on out. I'm going to give you guys a set of pelvic tilts. Pelvic tilts can be done on hands and knees as cats and dogs, or they can be done on the floor. They can even be done sitting in a chair. Just going to rock the pelvis back and forth. So I'm in the hook lying position. Feet are on the floor, but you can definitely do this sitting in a chair. Just rocking my pelvis back and forth. Back and forth. Usually after a lot of one-sided movements, we end up doing a bilateral or both sides at the same time movement, just to tie it all together, all the work that we did unwinding. Now we're trying to tie it together here. We're going to come up to standing arm circles next, if everybody's okay. I'm going to show you the position that I want your hands in. This is a really odd position. You only see it in a Egoscue. Even though they call it the modified golf grip, I don't think I've ever seen anybody do this during golf. I played golf once, so I should know, right? So I take my hands into fists. I'll do it again. Fists, flatten out the fists. Then I stick my thumbs out. It's a very odd position, but what that's going to do is that's going to trap our shoulders into doing some work. So I'm standing up now, everybody. Make sure your feet are hip distance again. It's a little bit bigger than a fist in between your big toes. Now take that funky grip, the modified golf grip. Hold that in your hands and drop your hands at your sides. Squeeze your shoulders back and down. Then the arms come out to the sides. Some of you have shoulder issues, so this might not be the move for you. You're just going to stand there, do shoulder rolls. I see Maria doing that right now. So I'm circling up and forward, and I'm going to count about 40 times. I'm keeping that modified golf grip, and I'm also squeezing my shoulder blades together. The other key here for this movement is let your belly hang out. I know it's not the most flattering thing, but if you suck it in here, it's going to turn on your abdominals and stop the work that we want to trickle down into the hips. Turn your palms up now, so your thumbs are going to point behind you. Still keep your shoulders back and down, circle up and back. This is standing arm circles. You can do this arm move in so many different positions, but today we're just doing it in the standing position. Yeah, you're going to feel a little burn. It's work. I am so glad I opened up my windows, but I feel like I want to open up my window even more. Turns it on, doesn't it? All right, windmills coming up next, everybody. If you have a beautiful open wall like I do, and you could put your heels on it, go for it. If not, you're going to be kind of like me and stand in the middle of the room because I got the heater, which stops me from putting my heels on the wall. Standing windmill looks like this. We're hip distance. I'm going to bring the arms out to a T with our palms open nice and wide. Think about active fingers. I'm only moving through my waist. I'm going to lean over to one side, lean over to the other side. Again, some of you, if you've got shoulder issues or you're just really tired, put your hands on your hips. Just think about moving your torso towards this kind of L shape. That's all we're doing, back and forth. But I want you to keep your heels on the floor. I also don't want you to slide your hips back and forth. They stay right over your heels. This is a movement for right here in the middle section. That's it. Standing windmill. You can get this done if you're not standing. One of my clients, she's in a wheelchair. She does this sitting in her wheelchair, and we call it sitting windmill. But most of you are not in a wheelchair, so I'm going to take you out into our second position. Legs go out about 1.5 feet to 2 feet wide. Keep your feet parallel. That's a key here. As soon as your feet start turning out, we know your hips decided to get lazy. So we keep the feet parallel. That's going to keep the hips still turned on the way I want them. Arms out, palms open, fingers nice and wide. So I've got my imaginary wall in my mind. And I'm just wiping the wall, really, back and forth, back and forth. I've got the baseboard heater there, so I can't really bring my heels to that wall. But if I could, I would be on the wall doing this. That wall is going to be my guide. Everybody's looking great. I see Patty. She's looking wonderful. Fantastic. Marie's looking fabulous. Lauren, everybody's looking wonderful. I'm going to take you out to the next widest position. So we're talking about 3 feet wide. Stay in control. If you've got socks on, everybody, you might slide a little. We don't want that. So grab yourself a mat or take your socks off. Put on some sneakers or go barefoot. Arms out. So this is our widest position. Stay in control. This should feel pretty intense. Some of my clients can't come out into this position. That's okay. Don't go so wide. But don't use laziness as your excuse. If you've got actual pain, sincere pain, then don't go so wide or don't go so low. That's down to you. That's how you feel today. That's you using feedback from your body. We're going to come back to our first position, everybody. I do have that tendency. I think it's because I talk and I'm trying to teach you guys. I have a tendency not to go so deep as I could if I'm not talking. So catch yourself. If you notice you hit the spot and your body feels a little bit of challenge and you stay there for months and months and months, maybe push it until you feel, oh, that makes me gasp a little bit. We want to find some change. So don't be afraid of sensation, but also don't expect to have pain. If you're here in this class and you followed Pete Agosky doing his pain-free books and stuff like that, if you keep expecting pain, you're going to get it. And you're also not going to be able to show yourself that, hey, this changed. So we have to keep testing the waters. Things will change, but the only way you're going to see it is if you test it. I'm going to take you guys down to hook lying position again, and we're going to do hook lying gluteal contractions. This is a nice, easy one, but it can be challenging. I'm going to be squeezing my butt over and over and over again. And you might be able to see in the video as I'm showing you, I'm squeezing my butt. Both butt cheeks are squeezing. That's what I'm going for. It's just a glute squeeze. That's all it is. I'm going to take you into the hook lying position. Yes, you can do this in many other positions, but right now we're doing hook lying. Just keeping that nearby because I've got a routine in there that I want to show you later. Gluteal contractions is what this is called. I squeeze my butt and let it go. Can't get on the floor? Do it sitting in a chair. If there's one move that you find today, this is probably going to be it. For all the people that can't do a darn thing, or maybe they're stuck somewhere, maybe they can't get on the floor, maybe they can't get out of the chair, gluteal contractions is always something that people can at least try to do because you could do it anywhere. You could do it standing, you could do it laying down. So now that we've been going through these over and over, I want you guys to double check. Do not use your abdominal muscles to do this. Put your hands on your abs. Are you squeezing your abs? You don't want to. This is for your butt. Those stupid ideas that the instructors used to tell you, and I bet they still do tell you, okay, hold your core tight. Man, after a while, I ripped apart every instructor that said that because I was an instructor too. What the heck are you holding your core tight for? Right. You keep holding your core tight, and now you can't unwind that from the muscles that are designed to do their work. So if you're noticing you keep holding your abs, I want you to relax. Don't give so much effort. Try less. This is a move for your butt, not the abdominals. Sometimes you put your hands on your butt just to see, hey, do I feel the muscles in my butt actually contracting? If you're not feeling that, here's a Band-Aid. Extend your legs straight out on the floor. Guaranteed you're going to feel the butt. Guaranteed. But you should be able to recruit those muscles and use those muscles, fire those muscles with your hips bent. It's just that a lot of us, especially if you're new to doing this, your muscles forgot how to fire in some sort of hip flexion. Even athletes have that tendency. The glutes shut down, the quads take over. Mine was one of them. That's why my quads are really over-defined and my butt really isn't. A lot of athletes. And in fact, we're doing an athlete routine today. This is for condition 1, people with an anterior pelvic tilt. Usually athletes have that. All right, I'm going to flip you guys over onto your prone position. So this is a belly position. Take your block with you, please. Some of you who already know that the prone position kind of hurts, maybe give it a try today. See what it feels like. If it's starting to give you that same pain that you regularly witness and expect, go into your frog position or go into hook line position. We're going to put the block in between the ankles. So the alternative for this, and I know you know who you're talking to. Just don't want to use the name. This is the same move as would be abductor presses with a strap if you're laying in hook line position. So we're going to ask the butt to do some work. I am in the prone position, everybody. So I'm laying down on my face. I'm putting my block or my pillow between my ankles. I'm going to bend my knees to bring my ankles towards my butt. I'm squeezing the block repetitively or pillow over and over and over again. So what's happening in my hip area is an abduction and an outward rotation. So if this is bothering you in any way, laying on your belly to do the squeeze, you can lay on your back and get the same thing done by putting a strap around your knees and pushing out on that. We'll cover that later, but for now, we're doing prone ankle squeezes. What should be recruited here, again, are the glutes, except this isn't a glute squeeze. I don't want you to do the same move we just did before to get this move done. The glutes should fire just by pushing the ankles together, but if they're not, I want you to spread your knees apart from each other. Just go a little bit wider. And then you'll notice you could probably recruit the glutes to do this. It should happen automatically. This is not a glute squeeze. So don't try to squeeze your glutes to get this done. Over and over and over again. Here's another troubleshooting area. Your feet will have a tendency to start falling towards the floor. Don't let them. So check it out. Make sure your knees are bent deeply and you stay at least a 90-degree angle in your knees. Don't let your feet fall too far towards the floor. Again, this is the routine that I use for athletes, people who have an anterior pelvic tilt, where the pelvis is tipped forward and the lower back has quite a curve in it because their hip flexors are so tight. That happens to a lot of athletes, very tight hip flexors. And then it starts shutting down certain muscles because the hip flexors just won't let go. So you might notice after all of these exercises we've done, if you know you have an anterior tilt and prone position usually hurts you, you might want to check it out and see, did it change today? Maybe a few of those moves changed the quality of your tissues and it let go and change the position of your body. So just check it out. Keep your block, everybody. I'm going to flip you back over. We're going to do hook, lying, knee, pillow squeezes over and over and over again. Hook, lying, knee, pillow squeezes. You're going to keep your pillow. I'm going to put it in between the knees now. Can you get this done sitting in a chair? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so I'm laying in the hook lying position. And I'm just applying pressure onto the block or pillow repeatedly over and over. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. You can do this sitting in a chair. You can do this laying on your back. They even have a routine with this, a very old routine, doing this standing. It's so awkward. So awkward. But this is plenty. This is another move where if you can't do anything, you can't stand, you can't lay down, maybe you're in a wheelchair completely. This is usually a move I can give people if their legs are still functioning. The glute squeezes, knee pillow squeezes. Doable, doable. And they're so neutral, even people who have knee problems. This is such a it's such a simple move. Kind of like static back, where it helps everybody and doesn't hurt anybody. Oftentimes, like 99% of the time. Yeah. It's a good go-to move. Okay, guys. The last move is one I can't show you, but if you're intrigued, maybe you look up my name in YouTube and you'll find the very last move. It involves using that tower, which some of you have, but I certainly can't show it to everybody. So we're going to move on, and I'm going to take you through some of the routine that I'm so excited to show you. We're going to start strengthening now, everybody. So what I want you to do is get your creativity cap on. I want you to imagine with me. Imagine. Because I just don't have the ropes and the stuff that I used to have. I have nothing to tie it to. So you're going to imagine with me. I'm going to take you through side unders. And we're going to do maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes of that. Side unders look like this. There's an imaginary limbo rope. Right? It's right here. It's right across, except I'm not going to go under it this way. I'm going to go under it sideways. So I've got my limbo rope. It's as high as you want it to be or as low as you want it to be. I am going to squat and sidestep under the rope and back again. What I want you guys to keep in your mind is you want to keep your whole body facing forward. That's called the frontal plane. You want to keep it forward. As you do this movement, you don't want to end up rotating. That's what's going to happen. So I want you to keep that in your mind. So here's how it goes. My cue goes like this. Break it down. Extend the leg. So my line's right here. I extend my leg under the line. But notice, I didn't shift my body weight. I stayed in place. So I'm putting a lot of load on that bent leg, right? That's what we want to do. So we're loading that leg. Extend. Now shift your weight. Slide it under. Now I shifted the load over to my other leg. Replace. Stand up. So I'm going underneath this limbo line. It's imaginary, so you won't hit anything. Let's start out for a minute, see how I feel, and then maybe we'll keep going. Break it down, extend the leg, shift your weight, replace, stand up. Oh, you guys look so good. Break it down, extend the leg, shift the weight, replace, stand up. I just keep my hands like this because I used to teach yoga, but you guys can do whatever you want with your hands. Break it down, extend the leg, shift your weight, replace, stand up. Beautiful. Break it down. Extend. Shift. Replace. Stand up. Continue. Down. Shift. Go faster or slower, but don't let your speed reduce your form. The point of this movement is to reteach your hips how to load. We did all of this work to rebalance the body. Now we're building the strength into what we just corrected. Let's stick with 1 minute. Maybe we'll do more next week because I got more moves to give you. Now, we're going to do front unders. So we are going to treat this imaginary limbo line like it's a limbo line, except I'm not going to do a back bend to go under it. Instead, we're going to go under it by bowing our head. But there's a way I want you to do it. We're going to step one leg forward. It's going to go underneath our imaginary line. We're going to sit down. Knee comes to the floor. If you can't do that, don't. We're going to bring it down to the floor. Duck your head under. So now the weight gets shifted onto the front leg. Stand up on the front leg and replace. I'll show you what it looks like from the side. So there's my line. I'm going to go right under it. Extend the leg. Come down because I can. I sit back to get under and come forward. Now all that weight's on my front leg. I stand up, replace. You don't have to get the knee onto the floor. Maybe yours looks like this. Maybe that's as far as you can go. Do what you can. I'm going to give you guys a minute. Remember, we're going to use both legs. So if you start with your right leg, you're going to turn around and do your left leg. Right leg, I step forward, break it down, sit back. I'm going underneath my line. Come forward on the front leg, lift, turn around. Now I'm using my left leg. Step forward, break it down. That's a toughie. I sit back to get underneath my imaginary line. Come under. Up. It's almost like a rocking motion before I get up. Step, down, back and under, forward. Certainly is a rocking motion. Step, down, back and under. It's quite a stretch, right, everybody? Step, down, back and under. Feet are getting involved, toes are getting involved. Step, back and under. Fantastic. Timer, done. I guess everybody did okay because nobody's laying flat on the floor. Very good. All right, I'm going to take you guys into walkouts and push-ups. These are not easy. So I'm going to give you some modifications. Push-ups, yeah, they stink. They're terrible. Modified push-ups, you can do them on a wall, really easy. Put your hands on the wall, just like we did with our shoulders with the arm circles. You're going to try and keep your shoulders back and down throughout the push-up. I don't care how deep you go. Maybe your push-up looks like this. That's cool. But if you want to go a little bit further, maybe you walk a little bit further down the wall, walk your feet away. There's your push-up, maybe. Maybe you can go all the way to the wall. Or maybe you can do a full push-up on the floor with me. I'm going to give you a minute to do it. That's all. So I'm going to do a walkout to a push-up. Walkout to push-up looks like this. Stand tall. Walk out. I'm in my push-up position, shoulders back and down. Push up. I don't care how low you go. Walk your feet to your hands, stand up and do it again. We've got 1 minute. Whether you're walking out and pushing up or you're doing a push-up on the wall, doesn't matter. 1 minute. We've even done push-ups in the past on the couch. So the more upright you stand, the easier the push-up is going to be. But it is work on the shoulders and the whole body, quite strong, absolutely. But everyone can do some form of a push-up. Everyone. Even if you're sitting in a chair, you can do some form, get creative, of your push-up. On the wall, on the couch. I'm still working on that left shoulder strength, my goodness. Ever since I got that surgery, mixed emotions about that one. 1 minute, we're done. No more push-ups. Fantastic. I'm gonna have you guys take a little windmill break, and then we're gonna take it to the floor. Arms out to a T or on your hips. Windmill break. Tougher than we usually do today. Yeah, good, because spring is here. It's time to get the blood flowing. Time to get the sweat going. Second position. Remember, you want to keep your feet parallel. Perfect. Plenty of time. I'm going to take you to the floor to do the glam sequence. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do it. Glam sequence is fun. If you can't get to the floor, you're just going to do some glute squeezes. Third position, nice and wide. So the second time we're doing this, so you might notice things feel a little different. You might even notice, hey, I can go really wide and I'm pretty stable and pretty strong here. So glam sequence. What we're getting done in glam sequence is the whole posterior chain. So we're talking back, glutes, hamstrings, even some of your calves, but we want to make sure you don't bend your knees. Yeah, it's not going to work. This is going to be murder on the heels. I'm just going to get myself another mat here. There we go. Okay, so the sequence is like this. You start out straight, but we're going to press our legs and heels into the ground to actually lift our butt and our back. It's like doing a back bend, except the legs stay straight. That's what I want you to think of. So we're laying on the floor, you do this back bend, then you spread the legs in the position we were just in, and you do the back bend again. So we're pressing into the floor to do this. This is what it looks like. That's why I got my other mat, because it can be murder on the heels. So I'm laying flat on the floor. And like I said, we're going to press everything into the floor to lift the body up. You'll feel your hamstrings, your butt, everything's going to turn on. Again, if you can't get to the floor, you're going to do glute squeezes. You're going to do them just like we did before. Then we spread the legs open. The toes point to the sky. Lift, lower, back in, lift, lower. That's our move. This is our glam sequence. I'll show you from the front as well. I'll give you 2 minutes to get it done. So I'm laying down, lift, lower, legs apart, lift, lower. Same thing, 2 minutes. It's not easy. No, it's not. This is not easy stuff. But it's stuff that our body should be able to do. The problem comes when our body forgets how to do it, and then we can't remind it anymore, right? But the best thing is, as long as no aliens took these muscles out of you, they're still there. So we can still get them. And we're going to try. We'll try to get your muscles. One more minute. You're already halfway through. Again, try not to bend your knees. What we want to do is really access the posterior chain in a different way. So you want to keep the knees straight here. Toes point to the sky. As soon as you bend the knees, we start using a little bit too much hamstring, and then the quad, the front of our thigh, starts getting involved. So I really want to keep the thigh out of it in that regard. This is our glam sequence. I think I'm going to give you one more hard one, and we'll start winding it down. The hard one's going to be a doozy. I think I'm going to give you donkey kicks. We haven't seen that in months, maybe even a year. I haven't touched on donkey kicks for a long time. And I'm going to give you guys different modifications for it, and we're going to do it for a minute. Donkey kicks are fun to me, and they're fun to watch. Don't talk yourself out of it by saying, hey, I can't do that, because you can absolutely modify donkey kicks to get done in some form or fashion. I'd love to say this is one of the moves I got fired from Crunch for, but almost. Your donkey kick may look like this. You put your hands on a chair, and you try and get both of your feet up off of the floor. It's a handstand. And I'm showing you this version first because I don't want you to be scared of the full version. So it's working up towards doing a full handstand, which you can do. Full on donkey kick on the floor is like so. Don't be scared. That's why I showed you the modified version. So put your hands on something. Maybe even it works off of a downward facing dog for you. Maybe here's where you start your donkey kick. That's okay. Try your donkey kick here and try to throw up into a handstand. We've got 1 minute. Again, this can be easy. This can be hard. I love what I'm seeing from you guys. I see somebody with their hand on a table in front of them and they're throwing their leg up. They're getting up a few inches and that's great. So throw it up. Man, they look ugly after a while, right? As you start getting tired, it's going to look ugly. I love what I'm seeing though, guys. You're making me feel good here. These used to look great on me. Now I just look foolish. Let's be foolish for a couple of more seconds. We got 10 more seconds, everybody. Foolishness. Fantastic. Done with donkey kicks. Interlace your hands behind your head. We're going to walk around a little bit. Draw your elbows back and down. This is a stork walk. We're just going to walk around for a minute. Stork walk. Nice and easy. I am so proud of what I just saw you guys do. I feel so good. It feels so good. I watched some new people I've never seen before just kick their legs up into the sky. This is the stuff that you see kids doing. Good, welcome to it. Somewhere along the line, we convinced ourselves we're not kids anymore and that the playground is a no-go zone for adults. And the sad thing is that our body starts failing because of it. For many times, it's what we don't do that makes it so that we can't do it. What you guys were certainly doing a can do just now. Fantastic, everybody. Good. I'm going to take you down for a little bit of bird dog, arm leg opposite lifts. And then we're going to do some stuff with the strap. If you cannot get on the floor, good. I remember doing this in the library. Here's another version of bird dog. So if you want to do this like we did in the library, arm forward, opposite leg back. But I'm going to do it on hands and knees on the floor. That's what I'm doing. This might be painful to you if you've got shoulder injuries, maybe. So if that's you, you can lay on your back and get it done. You could do cross crawl. So here's our cross crawl. Arm and leg go back. Arm and leg go back. That's only if you've got shoulder injuries. Maybe that feels better. Otherwise, arm leg opposite lifts. If you feel super awkward doing this, double check that you're doing opposite arm to opposite leg. I can't tell you how many times I've caught one or two people lifting the left leg and the left arm at the same time and wondering, why is this so hard? If it's the right arm lifting, it's the leg on the left that lifts. Great, everybody. I want you to grab your strap. Now you can use this strap with a loop in it, or if it's long enough, you can just hold both sides. We're going to slip it around our foot. We're going to go around the ball of the foot. This is what we're going for. I'm going to lay on the floor with it though. So again, if the strap is short and you can't lay on the floor with your shoulders and your elbows resting on the floor while your leg is held in the air, then you're going to keep the loop in your strap so that you have a long tail to hold on to. Depends on how long your belt is. That's your choice how that works. So I'm laying on the floor. Each portion of this move is 1 minute long. If you can't do it, don't worry about it. Can you do this sitting in a chair? Sure. Sure you can. This hook lying position is basically me in a chair. So I got my left leg in my strap. It's across the ball of my foot like I just showed you. I'm going to use my hip muscles to keep both of my thighs parallel to each other. I want 80% of this work to be done with the muscles of the leg. 20% is done by hanging onto the strap and just assisting a little bit. Now, the point of this move is not to just hang your leg in traction. The point of this move is to get the hip to wake up and work like it's not awake already, right? The knee stays straight. The ankle is in dorsiflexion, which means I'm pulling my toes towards me. It's like I'm pushing my heel away from me. And when you start pushing the heel away, you'll start feeling the dorsiflexion of the ankle. If I let go of this strap, I can still hold my leg in place. Maybe not for long because it's tired, but that's about the work that you want to be done here. I'm not resting in this strap. I'm still working my hips. Good. We're going to slip the strap to the middle of the foot. And again, still working through the hip. I'm now going to place my footprint towards the ceiling. Knee stays straight. Give you another minute here. This is not about stretching your leg muscles or your leg tissue. The leg muscles actually don't really stretch. They need to stay a certain length and tension in order to hold you together. The stretch sensation that you feel is the fascia stretching. Again, the strap is a little bit of an assist, and your butt stays on the floor. You guys really made me feel good. I love that you leave your cameras on so that I can see you and be encouraged or discouraged by your reactions. I love it. You guys were doing donkey kicks. You were doing downward facing dog donkey kicks. I saw some of you putting your hands on tables. It was cool. All right, we're switching. Felt really good. It's a tough move because it's so scary. I used to mess with my yoga students all the time. And the best part was that they couldn't talk back to me because they were busy breathing. Strap goes around your ball of your foot. Thighs are parallel. Make sure knee is straight. Here we go. So I mess with them all the time. I take them into a downward facing dog and then I'd cue handstand. And people would just kind of look around like, what are they doing? And then I'd have a little chuckle. But I'd use that to break up the tension of people immediately considering that they couldn't do something. And I'd show them how simple it is. It's just a downward facing dog, and you begin to kick up. And then we'd laugh and have fun. And you guys did such a great job of that. Good. Thigh stays nice and straight, everybody. Thigh is tight so this work can make its way up into your hip. Again, 80% of the work is done with your leg, 20% done with the strap. Fantastic. Going to slide the strap to the middle of the foot now. 1 more minute left to go. Footprint goes to the ceiling. Oops. Tendency is because there's so much tension that we feel in the hamstring when we come into this position, definitely going to feel a stretch there, right? You'll have the tendency to want to bend the knee. And it's not really you doing that. That's the body saying, hey, we've reached the end here, the end of what we've been doing over the past 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Now bend the knee in order to get more because the mind tells us we want to get further. Don't do it. Don't do it. Keep your form so that you can rehabilitate the tissues, reminding them what they're designed to do. 20 more seconds. Good. Come on out. I'm going to give you guys a nice frog for 2 minutes. Soles of the feet come together. You can definitely do this sitting in a chair. Just put your feet together, bring them in towards your crotch. And hang out here for 2 minutes. And then we'll finish out with the cats and dogs, and I'll let you go. I'm going to give you cats and dogs now, everybody. I don't want to run out of time. I have to respect the library as well. Cats and dogs can be done hands and knees, or it can be done even in a chair. You can even do pelvic tilts like we did earlier. Your choice. I'm just arching the back in 2 different directions. It's flexion and extension. Try to keep your elbows straight here, just like we kept the knee straight in the other move. That is all the time that I have for today. I want to thank the library for continuously asking me to come back here and beat you guys up all the time. Look at what a hot mess we all are. I see smiles. I guess we did good. See you next week, everybody. Have a good one. Strausses, they're smiling.